delivered it 2 miles down the road. That's you. I hope you got that on camera. This is the response that the postmaster just gave Congress when he doesn't like what he hears. Literally covered his ears.
That was Congressmember Dr. Richard McCormick cross-examining the postmaster Louis Dejoy. You'll recall that back in May of 2020, Donald Trump appointed Louis Dejoy as the postmaster. Louis Dejoy had massive conflicts of interest. He ran corporations and logistic companies that directly competed with the United States Post Office, and he and his wife invested tens of millions of dollars in companies that competed with the United States Post Office. He never had experience working at the United States Post Office, but he got that position and then proceeded to try to break down and rip apart the post office from within. Some fun facts, though, about Congressmember Richard McCormick. Dr. McCormick, well, first, Marjorie Taylor Greene, about a year ago or so, accused Richard McCormick of physically attacking her, which Dr. McCormick denied. Another fact about Dr. McCormick: he's a Republican from Georgia's 6th Congressional District. And let's be clear, here on the MeidasTouch Network, where Republicans are doing their job and holding people like Louis Dejoy accountable, I'm going to show their videos and I'm going to say they did a good job. Let me show you that full interaction right now at this hearing where Louis Dejoy was questioned by members of Congress about destroying the United States Post Office and literally breaking the post office. Let's not forget, though, this is Donald Trump's handpicked guy. Go back to 2020. We were warning about just this at the time. Here's the interaction between Dr. McCormick and Louis Dejoy. Let's play it.
You were graded by the United States people, and they don't use your service anymore. You bankrupt.
That is not true.
You bankrupt this through your reputation only. Through your reputation, you are responsible for the fall of the Postal Service and the lack of accountability.
Congress is responsible for the fall of the Postal Service.
So it's Congress.
I am trying to fix
on your
Postal
watch
Service.
With all the AI.
Before my watch, the same stuff happened.
With all the AI, with all the computer systems, you're worse than if I took a horse and picked up the mail and delivered it 2 miles down the road. That's you. I hope you got that on camera. This is the response that the postmaster just gave Congress when he doesn't like what he hears. Literally covered his ears and gave himself the grade of A. And with that, sir, I rest.
Good. I want to share this with you as well. This was a bipartisan beatdown. So it's Republicans and Democrats who were on the committee who were questioning Louis Dejoy. For example, let me show you this next clip. This is our friend Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett going off on Postmaster General Louis Dejoy after he says Texas won't get any special difference in USPS vehicles that can handle extreme heat. Play this clip.
Are we prioritizing, even if it means that you're going to swap out? Let's say the vehicles aren't necessarily up for being swapped out in Texas, but we know that in another area, they don't experience the extreme heat. So we move those vehicles, those areas, and make sure that the vehicles that are going to keep our postal employees safe are put into those areas that they're needed the most. Has that been a consideration?
We consider a lot of the country gets heat. And
I understand. We get extreme heat is what I'm saying.
I will get you the process. I would say that it would not satisfy you to see that just Texas is getting any special difference. We have a bunch of procedures and plans strategies that we had to deploy vehicles. Let me get those for you.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. Okay. As it relates to delivering for America, it feels as if it's more a concept of a plan than an actual plan, because as you've stated earlier in your testimony, you had projections, and clearly those projections were completely off.
Now let me share this clip with you. Raj Krishnamurthy, who on the MeidasTouch Network frequently. I interviewed Congressmember Krishnamurthy recently, Congressmember from Illinois. He's great. He told us about, remember a few days ago when I had Congressmember Krishnamurthy on the show? He gave us a preview of this right here. You hear it first, folks, on the MeidasTouch Network. Watch Congressmember Krishnamurthy in action. Let's play it.
During your tenure, sir, you have received over $2.1 million in compensation. $2.1 million in compensation just during your tenure. So what bothers me is this. During your tenure, service standards have gone down. Affordability of mail has gone down. Your compensation has gone way, way, way up. And that's deeply, deeply troubling. Let me turn your attention to another issue, which my constituents bring this up to me all the time. Mr. Dejoy, when the mail is not delivered, for whatever reason, you're aware that letter carriers are required to complete a, quote, undelivered mail report, correct?
Yes.
Let me show you some of the undelivered mail reports that have come to our attention. This first one says, instructed to leave mail behind. Isn't that what it says?
I can't see that far.
Would you like us to
I'll
bring
take
it up
your
to
word
you?
for it. I'll take your word for it.
Let me show you another undelivered mail report. The report says, instructed to leave mail hundreds of flats. That's what this report says, right?
If you say so, I agree.
Let me show you another undelivered mail report. Instructed to leave mail behind by management. And then let me show you a fourth undelivered mail report that came to our attention. Do you see this? At the very bottom it says, quote, delivering for America, exclamation point, question mark, laughable. Isn't that what it's saying?
That's what you're saying, so I'll take your word for it.
Let me show you some images and pictures that came to us, which is highly unusual. We never received these things, but we received it recently. This is what election week looked like in Des Plaines, Illinois' post office with mail that was left behind. Election week. That's a mess. Let's show you another picture. Palatine, Illinois. This is in my district. Parcels piled on high. This is a complete mess and completely unacceptable.
So this is not, and interestingly, a week ago, you had Senator John Ossoff from Georgia as well, the same state that Dr. McCormick is a Congress member from. And so first, Louis Dejoy went in front of the Senate, and here's what Senator John Ossoff had to say. Play this clip.
Has your tenure as Postmaster General been a success?
Senator, I know how you feel about me. You've been quite public. Okay, so I'm not going to, debate that you think I'm a failure. Fine, I don't.
It's not about how I feel about you, Postmaster General. It's about whether or not seniors in Georgia are receiving prescriptions. It's the stacks of boxes of mail from courts that never arrived to their destination. It's the small businesses who are not able to get products to market and who are, this is my time, Postmaster General. You're here under oath before the U.S. Senate.
I know where I am.
It's small businesses who can't operate. It's death notices not delivered to family members. And you're sitting here trying to explain that 75% on-time delivery is a success. And it's not. It's not about how I feel about you, Postmaster General. It's how my constituents are being served by the United States Postal Service.
As I said, bipartisan beatdown. Here's Congresswoman Summer Lee. Play the clip.
Just this year, 15 of your employees working in my district reached out to my office with complaints of an abusive and hostile work environment. They came to my team because they had nowhere else to turn to at the Postal Service. They had made their complaints. They'd gone to those above them, and they still got no help. Those workers sent letters to every one of my office locations because they were so used to being ignored and unheard. It's completely unacceptable to have so many employees reaching out for help and for no one at the Postal Service to do anything about it. So my question, Mr. Dejoy, is do you have a formal process to address employee complaints? And is it just being ignored, or do you have a way to address these issues?
Congresswoman, we have the Postal Service has longstanding practices of how to deal with complaints within the organization, going up through my organization, or if there's harassment or other things like you're saying, to go just pick up the phone and call the OIG.
So they were ignored. You have the processes, but they were ignored.
I don't know what incidents. You need to give me more specifics. I doubt that they were ignored.
Okay, well, I doubt that any of my constituents made that up, but I will definitely connect our team so that we can get those directly to you. We would actually love the opportunity to do that. Can you commit to approving and creating a process or outlining us what it is and actually listen to take action to improve the working conditions of Postal Service employees?
I have converted over 100,000 people to full-time positions. I have made the workplaces significantly better in many of our operations.
Mr. Dejoy, I'm really sorry, but your employees do not agree.
I bet you a bunch of my employees do agree.
Well, the ones in my district don't. So I will not speak to ones outside of my district, but the ones that we've spoken to in my district
you're talking
currently
about?
don't. I'm certain that we can get more, and of course, we will direct them right to you.
Bipartisan beatdown. Here's Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski. Play the clip.
I represent Champaign and Springfield processing distribution centers in Illinois. Under your Delivering for America plan, both of these facilities would be downsized and consolidated into the St. Louis and Chicago distribution centers. This means my constituents' outgoing mail would have to travel hundreds of miles, additional miles, before even being sent out to their final destinations. With the current degree of service already substandard, these changes are just quite frankly unacceptable.
And again, folks, we and others have been warning about Louis Dejoy. Just again, to give you the background on Louis Dejoy right here. Louis Dejoy, American businessman serving as the 75th U.S. Postmaster General. He was appointed in May 2020. By the Board of Governors. Prior to the appointment, he was the founder and CEO of the logistics and freight company New Breed Logistics and was a major Republican Party donor and fundraiser for Donald Trump, raised nearly $1 million for Trump. Dejoy is the first Postmaster General since 1992 without any previous experience at the USPS and the first Postmaster General in U.S. history to come directly from the board of a privately owned competitor to the public-private partnership of the USPS entity. His companies still hold active service contracts with USPS, generating controversy over conflicts of interest. Now, I think it's important when we talk about Postmaster General Louis Dejoy to talk about Donald Trump's other picks. Donald Trump picked his own versions of Dejoy's right now to lead the Department of Education. Linda McMahon to lead the FBI, Kash Patel to be the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard to lead the IRS, former Congress member Billy Good. All these people, I could keep going on, have talked about destroying the organizations that they are a part of and ripping it apart. Let me just share with you this video right here. Our friends at Really America. They did this video when Dejoy was appointed by Trump. Let's watch it. This was back in 2020 May. Play the clip.
This is Trump's new Postmaster General, Louis Dejoy. A longtime Republican donor, Dejoy has given over $400,000 to Republicans just this year. Coincidentally, Dejoy and his wife have between $30 and $75 million in assets of direct competitors to the United States Postal Service. That's right, they own the competition. The man Trump put in charge of our post office has the most to gain from its destruction. So why would Trump choose someone like Dejoy to run the post office just 3 months before the election to cheat millions of Americans out of their right to vote by mail? Trump can't win if Americans vote. Trump didn't choose Dejoy to run our post office. He chose Dejoy to destroy it.
You won't know the election result for weeks, months, maybe years after. Maybe you'll never know the election result. It'll be fixed. It'll be rigged.
And this is from Vote Vets back in August of 2020. They put out this video. Play the clip.
When Donald Trump's big campaign donor and new Postmaster General was caught sabotaging the U.S. mail, causing delays in tens of thousands of VA prescriptions every day, veterans called him out. Dejoy now says he'll back off until after the elections, but getting VA prescriptions on time isn't somehow less important to veterans after November 3rd, and that doesn't undo the damage he's already done. With tens of millions planning to vote by mail this fall, we need a postmaster we can trust to keep our post offices open, return the sorting machines to service, and put the damn mailboxes back where they belong. It's time for this postmaster to hear the president's favorite words.
You're fired.
Now, one of the reasons Donald Trump wanted to break the post office is he wanted to stop vote by mail. Remember all those scenes where they were like, back in 2020, where they were like taking away the mailboxes? Yeah, that's Louis Dejoy right there. And Louis Dejoy continued to break down and make it more difficult for mail to get from point A to point B. Look, I'm glad to see a Republican Congress member cross-examining Louis Dejoy that way. I'd love to know your thoughts as well, and happy to highlight Congressmember McCormick and other Republicans if they go and do stuff like that. I think that's fair. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Real quick, Meta just changed their algorithm to suppress political content. Please follow our Instagram @MeidasTouch right now as we head towards 400,000 followers so you don't miss a beat.